Hey guys, in this video I will talk to you about Init Only properties which were introduced in C#9. Init Only properties make it possible to create immutable properties using the object initializer. For those of you who are not aware of what the object initializer is, let me demonstrate by showing an example. The class that you see up here is a user registration model. The two main ways of creating an instance of that model are as follows. We create a constructor like this. And we create one using the object initializer like this. Let me just fill in some quick values. Telephone number, I'll just enter some random numbers, it's not really relevant. Now that you know what the object initializer is and how it can be used, let me explain what mutability and immutability is. Immutability means that once a value is initially set, it cannot be changed afterwards. If we look at the instance of the user registration model that we just created and try to update its properties, let's go for the email. We can see that we are actually able to update the property, making the property mutable instead of immutable. For those of you eager to see Init Only properties in action, I will first show how to make properties immutable before C#9, and then I will implement Init Only properties. To make properties immutable before C#9, we can use read-only properties that we set from within the constructor. Let me show you how to do this. First, I will remove all the set parts of the properties. And then I will create a constructor, which I will do using the generate constructor option. And let me place all the parameters on a new line so it's a bit more readable. And there we go. We see that the properties are now read-only because we only define a getter, but still we can set them from within the constructor. So now let's create a new instance of a user registration model. Let me comment all of this. And create a new one. And let's provide the same datetime that we have over here. And also the same email address. I will do the same for all the other fields as well. And for the username, John Doe. Okay, so again, now we have an instance of the user registration model. Now if we try to update one of the properties again, so let's change email to jin@doe.com again. You see that we have a red squiggly that says property or indexer user registration model.email cannot be assigned to. It is read-only. So in this case, the email property and also the other four properties are immutable and can no longer be changed. There are a couple of disadvantages to using the constructor though. The first one is that the readability is not great, as you can see in the example. This gets even worse when we are dealing with an object that contains a lot of properties. The second disadvantage is that we have to provide a value for all the properties, which may be unwanted if there are optional properties. There are workarounds for this, like default values, but again, this does not result in clean code. Now let's finally get started with the actual implementation of Init Only properties. Let's see, I will start by removing the constructor that we created earlier. And then I will add the init keyword instead of the set that we had before. I will do that for all the properties. There we go. And now if we go back to this part where we created an instance of user registration model using the object initializer, I will uncomment this entire part and I will comment this. And as you can see now, we are successfully able to create the variable second user registration model using the object initializer. But before we were able to update the email property afterwards, but this case using the init only property, we are no longer able to update the email property. And that means that all of the properties of the user registration model class are now immutable. Just like constructors, init-only properties are able to mutate read-only properties. Let me show you by creating a read-only field for the email property. So it's a read-only string that I will name email. I will replace this, and for the getter I will simply return the email field. For the init part, I will declare a body, and here we can even add checks. So in this case, let's say that we want to check if the provided value is null or white space. And if it is, we will throw a new argument null exception and provide the name of the email property. And otherwise, we set the value. There we go. Let's check this by, I will first comment this, and then I will provide an empty string for the email property. Let's run this and see if the argument null exception gets thrown. And we see that it does. You might be wondering right now if constructors are useless at this point. Let me tell you that they are not. Constructors allow you to require properties to have values. This is not possible with object initializers. We just saw that we added an argument null check for the email property. But what if we do not specify the email property at all? If I remove it right here and run the application again, you see that an argument null exception is no longer being thrown. If we create a constructor on the other hand, wait, instead of this, let's do so using the quick actions because that's a bit quicker. There we go. Now we can say that if string is null or white space for the email input parameter, we can throw a new argument null exception, And I will provide the name of the email parameter. And as you can see, we are no longer to use the object initializer now because we do not have a constructor without any input parameters. So let's add one so the code still compiles. And now if we create a new user registration model, again using the constructor, but we will use the constructor with the input parameters. So a date of birth. And for the email, we will provide null in this case. I will enter a password, super secret, a random telephone number. And a username, John Doe. Oh, that's one too much. And now if we run the application again, you will see that an argument null exception will be thrown when we create an instance of the user registration model using the constructor. So that's one of the benefits of the constructor over the init only property. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more C#9 content, make sure to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.